Google had its most advanced AI, a bunch of AIs hooked up together called the neural network. First, they fed it pictures from the moon's surface from the unmanned Chinese probes from a few years ago. It said they're real. And then
Google's latest artificial intelligence has tackled one of the greatest puzzles of the Apollo missions. For decades, whispers and rumors circulated, suggesting that humanity never truly left Earth, fueling endless debates about whether the moon landings were authentic or an elaborate illusion. Now, surprising new findings from advanced AI systems are sending shockwaves across the world. Unlike ordinary conspiracy theories, these results emerge from sophisticated technology capable of detecting details even experts once overlooked. The questions return stronger than ever. Did we genuinely witness history in the making, or have we been living with a carefully crafted illusion all along? To fully understand why the United States was so determined to land on the moon, it is essential to view the Apollo missions through the lens of the Cold War and the intense space race. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union became locked in a fierce ideological and technological rivalry, each striving to demonstrate superiority not only in military strength, but also in scientific achievement. This competition spilled into space exploration, sparking the space race. The Soviets seized the early lead by launching the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, in 1957, a feat that shocked Americans and stirred fears of falling behind. The pressure mounted in 1961 when Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth, a milestone that underscored the urgency for the U.S. to respond. In May of that same year, President John F. Kennedy boldly declared that America would commit to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely before the decade ended. This ambitious goal shaped NASA's mission for years to come, channeling billions of dollars into rockets, spacecraft, astronaut training, computing, and life support systems. Yet, this was never solely about science. It was equally about proving national strength, showcasing technological excellence, and rallying American pride. From classrooms to living rooms, citizens watched rocket launches with awe, while the missions became symbols of unity during a tense era. However, the highly competitive atmosphere of the space race also fueled later skepticism. Some critics argued that NASA had strong motives to fake certain aspects of the Apollo program, as even the slightest failure could damage U.S. prestige and morale. These doubts grew louder whenever photographs or footage of the lunar surface appeared questionable to some viewers. Nevertheless, the official record remains clear. On July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 successfully landed on the moon's Sea of Tranquility. Millions across the globe watched in awe as ghostly black and white images showed Neil Armstrong stepping off the lunar module and delivering his famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The event was documented in detail through photographs, live television, and radio transmissions, while Mission Control in Houston tracked every move as astronauts conducted experiments, planted the American flag, and collected lunar rock samples. After Apollo 11 succeeded, NASA continued sending astronauts to the lunar surface with Apollo 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17, each mission contributing new achievements ranging from detailed geological surveys to the use of the lunar rover. The final mission, Apollo 17, launched in December 1972, marked the last time humans set foot on the moon. In the decades that followed, NASA's official account of the program remained consistent. Astronauts had brought back hundreds of pounds of lunar rock, set up scientific experiments to measure solar wind, and installed retroreflectors that allowed scientists on Earth to bounce laser beams off the moon's surface to confirm distances and angles. These experiments, along with worldwide tracking of Apollo spacecraft, even by nations not aligned with the U.S., were presented as strong evidence of authentic landings. The Soviet Union, closely monitoring American space activities, never accused NASA of faking the missions, while scientists analyzing Apollo rock samples discovered chemical markers unlike those of Earth rocks, consistent with lunar meteorites. Despite this evidence, skepticism lingered. Some focused on photographic details like shadows, missing stars, or claims of wires and stage lighting. Early doubts took root in the 1970s, with articles questioning NASA's images, and gained momentum after Bill Kaysing's self-published book We Never Went to the Moon, which alleged insider knowledge of a cover-up. Though his claims lacked hard proof, they inspired a growing wave of conspiracy theories. Common arguments included multiple shadow angles, explained by experts as effects of uneven terrain and camera perspective, stars missing from the sky due to camera exposure settings, and astronaut movements that skeptics said resembled slow motion or wire suspension, but which tests showed were consistent with lunar gravity. Crosshairs in photos that seemed to appear behind objects were attributed to overexposure on reflective surfaces, while supposed props or repeating backdrops were explained as distortions caused by lighting, terrain, and the limitations of 1960s camera equipment. Still, such claims spread through documentaries and internet forums, keeping public suspicion alive. Over time, more elaborate theories emerged, including suggestions that filmmaker Stanley Kubrick helped stage the landings, though no evidence supports this. Today, speculation continues to evolve, with some conspiracy theorists now pointing to Google's artificial intelligence as a potential game-changer. Online discussions suggest that AI may uncover hidden inconsistencies in Apollo photos or videos, while those who trust NASA argue it will only confirm what official records have always shown. Regardless, curiosity continues to grow as people wait to see whether AI will silence doubts or fuel them further. An image recognition system allegedly flagged unusual features within NASA's Apollo archives, fueling rumors of hidden inconsistencies. These claims often focus on altered lighting angles, suspicious reflections in astronaut visors, or repeating patterns on the lunar surface. Enthusiasts suggest that when Google's AI examined high-resolution enhancements of Apollo photographs, it detected traces of edits resembling early film compositing techniques. According to this theory, if NASA had inserted artificial backdrops or spliced together frames, a deep learning model could now uncover pixel-level artifacts as proof. Hoax supporters argue that the technology of the 1960s was too limited to naturally create some of the visuals seen in Apollo footage, insisting that advanced cinematic tricks must have been used, tricks modern AI could potentially expose. Defenders of the Apollo program, however, counter that such findings can be explained by well-known issues like image restoration methods, the natural flaws of older cameras, or digital compression introduced during scanning. They also emphasize that machine learning tools can misinterpret these flaws as deliberate tampering. Without a transparent, peer-reviewed release of Google's supposed analyses, it remains impossible to separate speculation from genuine discovery. Some conspiracy communities go further, claiming that Vladimir Putin and other world leaders were secretly shown demonstrations of these AI revelations, citing alleged leaked footage or transcripts, though no independent verification exists. In reality, Google has made no official statement about reanalyzing Apollo imagery. Its public AI efforts are focused on fields like medical imaging, translation, and search optimization. Still, the idea of a large-scale AI project revisiting one of history's most iconic achievements captures the imagination. Even NASA already employs artificial intelligence for missions such as scanning for exoplanets or analyzing data from rovers. The possibility of applying similar techniques to Apollo footage continues to intrigue both skeptics and believers, raising the question of whether a future initiative might examine every frame and audio clip in search of truth. For now, the rumors persist, leaving people divided between dismissing the whispers or entertaining the possibility of hidden revelations. Among the public voices that once gave airtime to these doubts was Joe Rogan. Known for his podcast and MMA commentary, Rogan openly speculated in earlier years about the possibility of staged elements in the Apollo landings, influenced by documentaries that emphasized gaps in NASA's footage and visual oddities. At times, he even critiqued the physics of astronaut movements, noting that in some clips the gait appeared slower or inconsistent compared to others. He also raised the idea that NASA's training footage may have been confused or even deliberately presented as authentic lunar recordings. Some footage from NASA's training sessions may have been mistakenly, or, as some skeptics claim, deliberately, passed off as authentic lunar activity. Over time, however, Joe Rogan's perspective on the Apollo mission shifted. Once open to the idea of staged elements, he began inviting astronauts, astronomers, and science communicators onto his podcast. These guests explained how photography works in the vacuum of space, addressed the origins of conspiracy theories, and highlighted the sheer scale of the Apollo program. Rogan eventually conceded that orchestrating such an enormous hoax would have been nearly impossible, with thousands of engineers, contractors, and staff involved. Keeping a cover-up airtight for decades defied logic. Documentaries, meanwhile, have continued to shape public opinion. Some rely on clips that look suspicious when shown without context. Others zoom in on issues like how footprints form in lunar dust or NASA's Cold War urgency, framing them as signs of possible deception. For some viewers, these details reinforce doubts, but for others, every claim has a scientific explanation. Rogan's softening stance illustrates how exposure to solid evidence and informed analysis can transform skepticism into acceptance. Now, with rumors that Google's AI might reveal anomalies in Apollo footage, the debate reignites. Some believe artificial intelligence could uncover new irregularities, while others expect it to confirm NASA's version of events once and for all. This conversation ties into another long-standing mystery, Apollo 8. Launched in December 1968, it was the first crewed spacecraft to orbit the moon and return safely, with astronauts Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders broadcasting live images of the lunar surface back to Earth. Yet conspiracy theories linger about what the crew may have encountered on the moon's far side, where communication briefly cut out. Supposed transcripts mention campfire-like lights, puzzling critics who argue a flame could not burn without oxygen. NASA has never confirmed such observations, and most who study the transcripts point to misread lines, visual illusions, or reflections. Similar tales exist across Apollo missions. Apollo 11 astronauts reported flashing lights later explained as discarded hardware, while Apollo 10 crew members joked about odd space sounds, which NASA attributed to radio interference. Modern conspiracy theorists speculate that today's AI could reanalyze archived footage frame by frame, uncovering anomalies invisible to older technology. Whether this would reveal hidden truths or simply reaffirm NASA's records remains uncertain. For now, NASA's official narrative stands. Apollo 8 was a landmark success. No bonfires were discovered, and the program's legacy rests on extraordinary technological breakthroughs. The Apollo effort itself was powered by monumental innovations, such as the Saturn V rocket, developed under Wernher von Braun's team at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Standing 363 feet tall and producing 7.5 million pounds of thrust, the Saturn V remains one of the most powerful rockets ever built, capable of propelling astronauts to the moon. Central to its success was precision guidance, enabled by the Apollo Guidance computer built at MIT. Though primitive by today's standards, it was revolutionary in the 1960s, managing navigation, rendezvous, and flight control through astronaut inputs on a small display and keyboard. Alongside these advancements came spacesuits that were engineering marvels of their own, designed to withstand temperatures from 120 degrees Celsius in sunlight to minus 130 degrees Celsius in shadow, shield against radiation and micrometeoroids, and sustain life with oxygen and cooling systems. The iconic white suits, fitted with reflective gold visors, became symbols of humanity's greatest leap. The golden visors that reflected sunlight became an enduring symbol of the Apollo era. Beyond the iconic imagery, NASA also had to pioneer new communications technology capable of maintaining contact with spacecraft more than 250,000 miles away. This challenge was met through the Deep Space Network, a system of massive antennas stationed around the globe that enabled near-continuous communication. For the public, the live television feeds transmitted from the lunar surface were nothing short of astonishing, the first time humanity watched real-time video from another celestial body. Meanwhile, scientific instruments deployed on the moon returned valuable data on everything from soil composition to the moon's internal structure. Apollo crews also left behind physical artifacts such as lunar rovers, retroreflectors still used in laser ranging experiments, and the Apollo Lunar Surface Experiment Packages, ALSEP, which expanded scientific understanding of lunar conditions. These innovations demonstrated the program's sweeping scope, laying technological foundations that influence modern space exploration. While skeptics argue that some developments may have been real but overshadowed by allegedly staged footage, mainstream historians view Apollo's technological triumphs as undeniable proof of extraordinary success. Even Google's AI inquiries, which fuel conspiracy debates, do not question the existence of the Saturn V rocket or Apollo's computing breakthroughs. Instead, they focus mainly on photos and film that could have been altered. In recent decades, modern spacecraft such as NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, and India's Chandrayaan missions have captured high-resolution images of Apollo landing sites, showing descent stages, rover tracks, and equipment still scattered across the surface. This physical evidence strongly supports the reality of human activity on the Moon. Laser ranging experiments using Apollo's retroreflectors continue to this day, providing precise Earth-Moon distance measurements that refine gravitational models. These ongoing international experiments, conducted by researchers worldwide, would be nearly impossible to explain if the landings were staged. Amateur astronomers have also contributed by training telescopes on lunar sites, detecting subtle changes in surface reflectivity consistent with Apollo's reported activity. Though no Earth-based telescope can resolve footprints, the evidence matches NASA's accounts. Meanwhile, advanced digitization techniques applied to original Apollo film reels have uncovered fine details, such as rover traction patterns in lunar dust or reflections in astronaut visors, signs consistent with a low-gravity environment unlike Earth's. Together, these modern verifications reinforce the view that the Apollo missions truly achieved what they claimed, even as conspiracy theories continue to reinterpret old images through a skeptical lens. On the lunar surface, phenomena such as the way light scatters without air and the behavior of dust under weaker gravity would have been extremely difficult to fake using the technology available in the 1960s or 1970s. Today, AI-driven analysis is not just a matter of rumor, it has become a useful educational tool. Some universities and research groups actively run machine learning experiments on archived Apollo images, teaching students about computer vision by labeling rock formations or tracking changes across frames. These projects, while not directly aimed at debunking conspiracy theories, indirectly strengthen NASA's case by showing that the images behave exactly as authentic lunar photographs should. Combined with high-resolution mapping from lunar orbiters and detailed analysis of Apollo artifacts, modern tools have only reinforced the evidence that the missions unfolded as documented. Still, lingering doubts persist. Conspiracy theories adapt quickly to new information, often claiming that every new piece of proof is itself fabricated by powerful interests. References to Google's AI are simply the latest in a long string of alleged revelations. Online platforms continue to circulate stories of secret briefings, hidden archives, and suspicious footage, though none of these claims have ever produced definitive proof accepted by the broader scientific community. Yet the debate remains compelling. Technological leaps allow enthusiasts to scrutinize every shred of Apollo evidence, from the chemistry of lunar rocks to the geometry of footprints in dust, sparking fresh analyses and waves of speculation. The use of AI adds another twist. Machine learning can reveal subtle patterns beyond human detection, but experts caution that results depend heavily on the training data and algorithms used. Faulty inputs can generate false conclusions, meaning that AI is as likely to confirm NASA's story as it is to challenge it. For many, the real value of these discussions lies in promoting curiosity and transparency. Healthy skepticism can encourage stronger scientific practices, but when it dismisses well-established facts, it risks undermining trust in genuine progress. The Apollo missions remain among humanity's most ambitious undertakings, achieved through vast teamwork, resources, and innovation. To doubt them entirely requires equally extraordinary evidence that has never surfaced. Whether AI research uncovers new insights or simply reopens old debates, one fact is clear: public fascination with Apollo endures. Its blend of Cold War rivalry, groundbreaking technology, and the enduring mystery of the moon ensures that the story continues to captivate, both for what it achieved and for the questions it continues to raise.